All right, hey, what's up guys, it's Jay. So I wanted to do a more full review of the Retroid Pocket Mini. I had it about 2 weeks at this point, and I've been using it on and off essentially as my main kind of like Android handheld device, or my main retro device really, for the last 2 weeks. So I want to give you guys my thoughts and then let you guys know if this is worth it or should you get the regular Retroid Pocket 5. So let's get started. So I picked up the Retroid Pocket Mini and the 5 at the same time with their bundle, and it was a little bit cheaper. Right now, I think you can get it for $200 for the Mini and then $220 for the 5. So, about a $20 difference, not including shipping. So depending on where you are in the world, that'll definitely, depend on that. So I'm going to call the Mini the RPM or just the Mini throughout this video. So just FYI. And this screen though, as you guys can see just right off the bat, it is amazing. I love this screen, especially in black because of, the kind of like the borderless display that they have here. There's no bezels really. Technically, this whole thing is a bezel, right? But because it's black, everything kind of just fades away and you get this nice inky OLED display. It's a 3.7-inch display, so it's a little bit on the small side, especially if you're a younger person watching this video. If you're older like me, you're kind of used to it just because GBA and all these older handhelds, they've all been kind of this size. But if you're used to having a 6-inch, 7-inch phone, this is kind of tiny. And, that's just how it is with these displays. But the resolution on it is pretty good. I think it's like 900p or so. It's really high resolution. So you don't have to worry about like, low resolution, scaling, all that stuff. So integer scaling is great on this thing just because the screen is small, and when you integer scale with a high res display like this, you're gonna get, it's gonna be good. So let's give a quick tour. So you have the face buttons. These are all membrane based. You have your D-pad on the left side, and then you have two joysticks. These are RGB, and they have these are magnetic Hall effect sensors, so they're actually really nice to just use. I'm kind of been spoiled with all these new devices having Hall effect sensors, and one of the old controllers that I have to use when I'm gaming, it doesn't have that. So, it's kind of like I miss it. So it's really nice that they have it here. You obviously have your start and select up here, and then this is your home and back. The buttons are a little bit tiny, just to FYI. It's not like hard to, touch them, hit it, right? But it's more just like FYI that it is a little tiny there. You have your front speakers right on the bottom there. They don't really get in the way because the sizing, the placement, actually it's okay. When you hold your hand like this, right, you're not going to really bump into it. Maybe the left side or the right side, depending on like how you hold the device. So I do really like the contrast with the white lettering, and then everything else is black. So it's actually a nice, pretty almost stealthy look. Let's go to the top here. We have your bumpers and triggers. Quite nice, really stiff, really good tactile feedback there, both sides. I think build quality is really good. I don't really hear any pinging with the triggers, so everything's pretty solid there, what they did. You have your power button here. It does turn off the device or put it to sleep. And then you have your volume up and down, easy to get to. Fan exhaust right here. You do have a fan in the back here. I did notice that the fan isn't actually aligned. You can see underneath it is actually a little bit offset there. It's probably a better look right there. Retroid Pocket logo. I don't like that it's like, glossy reflectiveness, but it's fine. You don't really look at it. So in the back, you have your grips that are embedded, shaped, sculpted, really nice. High quality there. Not sure if the camera can pick it up, but you see the little bit of scratching on there. You can kind of tell based on how the light reflects, depending on how that is. Not a big deal. That's just how these are with these black devices. A little bit more prone to visual scratches, stuff like that. Yeah, your SD card, your 3.5mm headphone jack, and then your USB-C. This is also a display out. I haven't really used it, to be honest, because I have other devices that I can just use to play. So, on my TV or on my monitor. So it's kind of not really a use case for me. SD card. This thing is flush, so no problems there. Your screw holes, they are silver. Not a huge fan of that, just because the rest of the device is black. Wish they went with dark ones instead. But overall, no issues physically speaking. Everything's like tight, the production, quality, everything's good here. So this is Android 10, I believe. I think that they are releasing an Android 13 version. I'm not sure when that's coming out. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'll try to update this video here once Android 13 is updated, or maybe I'll make a separate video for that. But right now, Android 10, it's good enough. It's a little bit old, so some apps won't be fully supported. A couple that I use on and off, but it's fine for the most part. I have all my sync thing, and ESDE supports it, so it's great in that sense. So you can see also, kind of wanted to go back to the display here, because that's really the main focal point of this device. Glass up front, they put a glass piece on there and attach it, so it's a little bit glossy, reflective, all that kind of stuff. But the display does get pretty bright. You see that I have my studio light here, and I put in a reflection. You kind of still see it despite the reflection there. So hopefully the video can kind of do it justice. And when I'm looking at it right now, when I have it reflected against the light, and the light's pretty bright on, I can still see you can see the glare obviously, but the screen itself is not being overpowered. So let's gaming wise, right, that's really performance. This device just pretty much destroys everything that Ambernic puts out with their H700 all-winter chip. It just plays pretty much everything up to Switch. Switch titles can play mostly light titles, but for the most part you're going to be able to play pretty much everything else. There's some titles you might not be able to play just because it's Android and all of that. So someone mentioned in a previous video that SSX3, for example, might not work. So Sega Saturn, some of those systems are just, all these emulators just going to depend on, how well they can, play some of these games. But now everything's going to be 100%. I think that, it's pretty common sense at this point. But for the most part, you should be able to play GameCube, Wii. I'm not sure about Wii U. Don't think there's really much support for Wii U, but you can play 3DS. You can play all these games on here now, and then that begs that begs the question, right? So why would you play, 3DS or any 16:9 systems like Switch, right? All these little newer games, newer systems, PSP, for example, that's another one. PS Vita. Those are some that you're like, okay, well, why would I play, these systems on here? PS2 is okay because it is 4x3, not a big deal. You can get patches for 16:9. So let's talk about that, right? So this comes down to really just preference, right, of the size of the device and what games you play. So if you're playing older games, PS2, PlayStation, GameCube, Wii, I think those all be great on this device. A little bit small because of the 3.7-inch display, but overall still pretty good. So I can bring up Dolphin, no problem, right? Do a quick load. Load state. Let's load this guy here. So I haven't played for a little bit, but you can see that it plays fine. Just wanted to give you guys a little demo right now. No problems here. I mean, you just set up Dolphin emulator. If you're used to setting that up, you can pretty much do the same thing here. You got about 60 frames right there. Frame times are pretty good. You don't see a lot of dips. Obviously right now it's just very static location here. I'm actually kind of stuck on this section. It's actually kind of hard to use the joystick to set this up, or maybe I'm just not used to it. But yeah, so that looks fine, right? You're able to just play what you want and not really worry about what kind of games, can I play this or can I play that? For the most part, you should be able to just play whichever games you want to play on this thing. So turn it off. You can see direct lighting. You can kind of see the screen, right? But it's not really a big deal. And when it's on, right, you don't really like see bezels, right? So I really do like that option. Let me turn on. So one little quirk that you can't swipe down from the top with this version of Android or this iteration. Maybe they'll fix it, but you have to swipe from the left and right to bring up the navigation or the drawer here from top. Let's turn on joystick lights. So yeah, you can customize the joystick lights, the RGBs. I have it set up like this with blue and green or cyan. Quite nice, really easy. Turn off the device. But I did want to bring my Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. Kind of give you guys an idea, sizing. A little bit smaller, right? Joystick length smaller from the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro. A little bit thicker on the Mini, but not a big deal. So I definitely take this over to 4 Pro in terms of like, you know, form factor and whatnot. It's actually really hard to hold, like I mentioned, my impressions. But everything else, I mean, quality-wise, right, these are on par. The biggest thing is just the screen. The bezels on these things on the 4 Pro were a little bit big, especially if you're comparing. But when I had this, I was playing for a while. I loved it. It's just, again, the grips. I know a lot of people bought grips for this thing just because it's like, oh, it's super flat, nothing there. Kind of hard to use it over time. There's nothing to hold onto with that kind of flat device. But with this, there is, right? So it's built in. So you do have a little bit negative, right? When you put this in your pocket, you know, it does, you can kind of feel it, but it's honestly not a big deal. I have a sling that I bring around everywhere with me anyways when I'm out, so it's not a huge problem. Similarly with the Anbernic 40XX-H, same thing, right? Flat, nothing in the back, kind of hard to hold. This display though is a little bit bigger. This is why I brought it over here. I wanted to just show you guys the differences here. You see the placement of the joysticks, face buttons, D-pad are a little bit different too. I do like the Mini's placement's a little bit better, just slightly. A little bit bigger, right, on the sides. A lot more to mess around with and place it to be more ergonomically friendly. And on the back, you know, probably the biggest difference, right? No built-in grips. It's really a little bit hard to hold, just play, but it is, you know, very slim, right, comparatively speaking. And then lastly, I wanted to, you know, talk about this one again, the Odin 2. I love the Odin 2. I have the Pro model. Quite a bit bigger, right? 6-inch display versus a 3.7-inch. It's quite a big difference. I was looking at the Odin Portal. I was thinking about getting it, but you know, I just bought this year, and you know, this is still fine. It's not OLED, but you know, it's still great, and there's really nothing wrong with it. So you know, opted to not get it for now. Maybe on the next iteration when if they go back to x86 platform, I might get it. But the Android platforms are limited for retro gaming or just gaming in general. You can't really play a lot of games just because the ARM platform is not quite there yet for general gaming. For Android stuff, emulation, it's great because you can cross-platform there, or because you can cross-compile there. But yeah, I wanted to just show you guys how similar the tooling is. TF card, all this stuff. All this stuff is like a lot of similar tooling, especially the bumper and trigger there. Very similar. I do actually like the Odin 2 a little bit better. They have this like kind of embossed section here for the trigger, whereas the Mini doesn't have that, so it's flat. This kind of just lets you keep your finger kind of in this section here, not kind of reach out, but honestly, it's like a slight advantage, if anything, or just more of a preference thing. But yeah, no buttons in the back. So yeah, you might be asking, okay, well, great. This thing sounds good. It has everything I need. You know, what should I get it? So compared this to the Retroid Pocket 5. Pretend this is the 5. Essentially, the 5 is pretty much the Mini, just expanded, you know, stretched out a little bit, and then that's about it. The same chip, everything else is the same internals. So which one should you get? I mentioned earlier, it's really just going to come down to what kind of games you want to play. We want to play 16:9 games. I think the Retro Pocket 5 is probably going to be better choice. When I was using the 4 Pro a lot, I was playing a lot of DS and 3DS games on this thing. It's really nice with the extra real estate. With the Mini, I don't play any DS games. I have DS games on here, right? But I don't play any because it's really annoying to play. A tiny screen, not really going to get a whole lot out of it. And so I'm waiting for the 5 to come in. Whenever it ships and comes in, I'll do a review for that. But I'm really excited to get that one in and play with that on DS, because I missed the DS era. I never really got into it. I thought it was expensive when it came out and never picked one up. But Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, PS1, PS2, GameCube, Wii, it all really plays well on this thing. And it's really portable, even more portable than the Pocket 4 Pro or even the 5 that's going to come out, just because of the fact that, you know, it's going to be, the 5 is going to be even bigger. It's going to be as long as the 4 Pro, but then it's going to be added, you know, with these grips. The 5 is a 5.5-inch display, so, you know, it's going to be quite a bit bigger. For example, the Odin 2, right? It's a 6-inch display. So imagine a 5.5, a little bit smaller, but, you know, kind of on the size of the 4 Pro. You can kind of get an idea. So it's going to be somewhere between the 4 Pro and the Odin 2 in terms of, you know, length here, length this way. Thickness is probably going to be about the same thickness, to be honest, I think. But, you know, when you're comparing, you know, in these two cases, it's like, wow, which one should I get? So I think if you already have something like the Odin 2 and you're looking for a secondary kind of mini device, I think the Mini is probably like the best way to go, because with the Odin 2, you can just pretty much play everything, DS, all that stuff on this one device. And then if you want to, like, you know, go somewhere, you don't want to bring this bigger device. This is kind of like your device at home, or you're traveling, you can bring this device, you just go anywhere and then you get some gaming done. So I think that's about it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts about this. Let me know down in the comments below if you guys got one, or you guys thinking about getting one, or you're gonna get the 5 instead. But with that, I will see you guys later. Peace.